Hey guys, what's going on? Early start today. We're heading off to the airport. We're heading off to Ballina, Byron Bay. We're heading to the launch of the all-new Royal Enfield Himalayan new variant that's got ABS and fuel injection. So let's go get it. Let's go hit some trails and have a good ride through the hinterland of New South Wales. Yeah! Good morning, how are you? Thanks so much.
3,500 acres all to us just to play in this. From well graded gravel roads to nothing.
Reversing the Himalayas, and we're here today to basically put them back in an element which is similar to that to an extent, but more so to take things back to basics and those simple things that put smiles on everyone's faces. So camping out under those stars, 50,000 stars, not the 5-star, which is a little different, and keep it as casual and relaxed as possible. That's what it's about today.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Australian launch of the all-new Royal Enfield Himalayan with ABS and fuel injection. A huge thanks to Urban Moto Imports for having me along on the launch, which took place in the hinterland of Byron Bay in New South Wales, Australia. As Mal and Joey just mentioned, they were trying to recreate conditions which are similar to the Himalayas to test these bikes out, and man, they did exactly that. With a little bit of help from Salt Creek Moto in Ballina, the launch covered a great mix of twisting tarmac to challenging trails, which you'll see in this video. Please note that by no means am I an off-road rider or expert, so this is a great testament to the bikes that if I can do it, then absolutely anyone can. I'll go through the specs of the bike and a bit of a behind-the-scenes look at what goes on in a bike sort of test launch scenario. But for now, enjoy the footage of our beautiful country, and yeah, enjoy. So a little behind the scenes view here for the test launch. Now, I always used to wonder how the motorcycle publications, all the different magazines, would get their shots of the same bike in the same location, wondering, do they all take their own photographers along to get the shots? But as you'll see here, no, they don't. Basically, Urban Moto Imports, or the company that's putting on the launch, will have a photographer and a film crew as well to capture everything on the day. You can basically tell them what kind of shots that you want for your social media or for your publication, and they'll do their best to pull that together for you. So basically, we go on a couple of runs. There might be one location where they say, right, here's an idyllic lookout, and you can see on this shot here, I'm coming through a nice big sweeping left-hand turn, and Conrad is on the right, ready to take a shot, and bang, here he is now. Yep. And that will be used for my social media. All the riders will go through from the different publications. They'll use that for the magazines, and then we really just go through that maybe 5 or 6 times until the crew are happy that they've got all the shots they need. So that was the first little location there that we stopped at, which was just outside of Federal in New South Wales. And from there we headed on to lunch, and then onto the campsite, which was in Misty Mountain, which is coming up in just a sec, which was absolutely magnificent. So shortly after arriving at our campsite for the evening in Misty Mountain, we were given the opportunity to go for a quick ride around the surrounding property, which had loads of tracks, gravelly roads, and some tracks that hadn't been ridden on or driven down for quite some time. Yeah, it was a good opportunity to get to meet and get to know a lot of the guys and girls better who were on the ride, and have a chat about what we were going to be facing the next couple of days, really putting these bikes to the test. So being a novice off-road rider, as I mentioned earlier, I took an opportunity to sort of sit at the back and break away from everyone. And when I mean break away from everyone, I managed to get myself a little bit lost, as you can see here, sort of cruising down the road by myself. But look, in any case, it was a great opportunity to test out the ABS, which was just fantastic. Just let the brakes do their thing as you're idling and just cruising down the hill here, and this is looking out towards sort of the Mount Warning direction, you know, the hinterland of Byron Bay, New South Wales, which is absolutely stunning. And the bike was just handling so well through there, and as you can see now, I eventually caught up with the rest of the group. From here we were going to tackle some of the more technical four-wheel drive tracks and put the bikes to the test. I sort of found throughout the day, the more and more confident I got on the trails, I was able to stand up on the pegs, which is what they're designed for, and get the most out of the you know, suspension out of the bike. But looking at this track here, this was probably the most challenging section of track on the day. It was graded as, you know, challenging for four-wheel drive, so it was definitely up there for anyone on a bike. Now you can see the guys in front took off pretty quickly. I was sitting down on this particular one. I thought, look, I'm not quite up to it yet to stand up going up this hill, but it's still pretty smooth as what you can see. You know, giving a little bit of revs, probably should have changed gear a little bit earlier, but the Himalayan just eats it up, and I think I was probably in second, probably should have shifted to third a little bit earlier. A couple of little jumps and bumps there, but it's just an absolute breeze. And catching up with the guys at the top of the hill, we turned around, we did that a couple of times. As you can see, there was, you know, the guys with cameras taking shots, so we did that pass quite a few times. A massive shout out to Salt Creek Motorcycles from Ballina as well, who put on probably one of the best campsites I've ever been to, especially for a motorbike launch. You know, to have the swags there set up, all the food as well was absolutely incredible. We had a great time, and I'll leave their details in the description below, so make sure you get in contact.
All right, so what a magnificent day we had yesterday. We're up here kind of between Byron Bay and the Gold Coast. Misty Mountain it's called. It was very misty last night. We had a few thunderstorms, and it opened up to an amazing, incredible sky. It was, what the guy's saying, not 5-star accommodation, but 50,000 star accommodation. As you can see behind, we've got the camp set up here. A couple of drinks around the fire, telling some really bad dad jokes, but great day yesterday, riding up through some trails into the mountains, testing out the ABS, which was what I was really looking forward to, because I've got the BS3, as you guys know. Coming down the hills, where I was a little bit, I guess, tentative of, you know, wanting to commit to it, brakes don't lock up at all. They're just absolutely incredible. So, yeah, first impressions of these new brakes is that they are just incredible for, you know, descending, coming down some you know, loose gravelly trails on the highway as well. You know, getting to the trails, it was wet in some areas. We had some, you know, fair bit of rain, but yeah, it held up really well. But all in all, you'll see the footage. It's handled really, really well. Absolutely love it.
You want these two with the wheel track and when that tune up?
Just as you are right now, basically, as a formation. Yeah, maybe a little bit closer. You know what I mean? Like, don't get too squeezed.
So you could just hear Conrad before directing a couple of the riders into position for a great shot of them coming out of the bush and into some open land on top of this hill here. These shots were absolutely stunning. When they came out, they went sort of worldwide straight away. So he really knows his craft, and I'll leave his details below if you want to get in contact with him or check out any of his other work. So some tech specs and my final thoughts on the all-new Royal Enfield Himalayan. So starting with the seat height, which comes in at around 80 centimetres or 31 inches. For me, being around 180 centimetres tall, I'm happy with that height. It is absolutely perfect. My feet touch the ground, no problems whatsoever, and my legs don't feel cramped when I'm you know, riding either on a trail or sitting in the saddle for a long period of time. The engine, which is a 411cc single, is perfectly adequate for all the off-road adventure riding you want to do, also for the freeway as well. The 5-speed gearbox complements that, and I'm sitting, you know, quite comfortably at 110 kilometers per hour on the Australian freeways, and that's even with, you know, quite a bit of gear on the back as well. The tyres that come standard with the bike, you've got a 90 by 90 21 inch front and a 120 by 90 17 inch rear. And the stopping power on these ABS brakes, on the front we've got a 300mm disc 2-piston floating caliper, and on the rear a 240mm disc single piston floating caliper. priced at just $7,500 right away in Australia. I think these are the perfect moto adventure bikes for anyone who's wanting to look to, get out on the weekend and have a great time. Have a look at royalenfield.com.au for more details.